So why is it so important for people to live a physically healthy life?
Physical activity is so important, number one, for keeping us independent, keeping us doing the things in our life that we want to be doing. A lot of good things happen in our body when we're physically active. Our heart and blood vessels, our respiratory system, they all respond very well to exercise. It reduces our risk for cardiovascular disease, for diabetes. People that are physically active generally have more energy, they're more confident, they have higher self-esteem, lower rates of depression. They've even found that regular physical activity can have the same effects as being on antidepressant medication. So it really does make us feel good about ourselves and decreases our risk for disease. Okay, so we're going to do a hamstring stretch now. So perfect. You want to put your heel out. There's always going to be a slight bend in your knee. We don't want to lock the knee.
Okay.
So when you're on your heel, yep,
Okay.
slight bend in the knee. So you want to be sitting up nice and tall. Your leg can go out just a little bit more. Perfect. And then you might even feel the stretch sitting up tall like this. If you don't, you can lean into it a little bit. Perfect. You have a nice straight back.
Okay.
You don't want to round the back. Now where can you feel that stretch?
Right here under my
Yes,
leg,
right
yeah.
in our hamstrings. Often this is a very tight muscle for people. So this is a great stretch that you can do as you're sitting on the couch, different times throughout
In
the day.
office,
Exactly.
maybe someone, yeah.
Yes. You want to hold a stretch for about 30 seconds. And then you could switch and do the other leg.
Okay, I'm going to try and do it. Slight bend in the knee.
Yeah.
So does this leg matter where it goes?
This is nice to stabilize us. If it's back here, you might feel a little more wobbly. So if you stabilize, kick your leg out, sit up nice and tall, and exactly lean into it.
Should you also be feeling some burning in here?
A
even?
little bit, yeah.
Okay.
For sure it goes down to the back of the leg.
Awesome. Well, thanks for showing us all the stretches today.
Yes, my pleasure.
It says in Proverbs, a peaceful heart leads to a healthy body.
Coming up next, author Ricki Pepin shares her journey from family sickness to wholeness.
Today on the show, we're blessed to have Ricki Pepin, a former homeschool teacher. She's developed an enthusiastic vision for families to learn and apply the 7 principles of the principled approach to every area of her life. I like that.
Yeah.
And an expert on health and believes in equipping the people with the necessary tools. So welcome, Ricki.
Thank you very much for giving me this chance.
Great to have you come. Now, understand that there was a terrible experience you went through in a battle with a child, not with the child, but with chronic illness that
Absolutely.
one of your children experienced.
That's
and
true.
This kind of led you along this path. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, my son was actually my second child, and he was ill from toddlerhood. He'd get a lot of different ear infections all the time, and by the time he was 7 years old, he was chronically ill. And the doctors could not even put a diagnosis on him because his symptoms were so strange and so varied. I mean, he had asthma and allergy symptoms. He had body aches and pains so bad, like fibromyalgia. He had Parkinson's disease symptoms to where he would shake all the time.
Oh, my.
He went into convulsions for 3 days one time, and after all of this time, until he was up to 19 years old, the doctors could not even come up with a diagnosis for what was wrong with him. And no matter how many drugs they put him on, no matter how many tests they ran on him, nothing. Nothing was of any effect whatsoever. And at 19, it was that watershed time because, moms, up until then, I had held things together because that's what we moms do.
Right.
For 19 years.
For 19 years, you make excuses, you get it done, you help them, you put it off, but you make it happen. Well, at 19, he was in college. And now, if he had to miss an exam and he was getting sicker and sicker again, I knew he wasn't going to make it. If I call up the college professor and say, gosh, David can't make it for his final today, guess what?
Yeah.
He fails.
Too bad.
Too
Right.
bad.
Yeah.
So sad. Same thing with a job. An employer wants to have you there. He doesn't want to have mom call and say why you're not there.
Right.
And so that was the watershed moment. I couldn't save him anymore. And I literally remember just throwing myself on the floor in the living room and crying out to God, saying, where do I go from here, Lord? What can I do to help my son? And I'd no sooner got the prayer out of my mouth than the telephone rang. God's good. His timing's always right on.
Always, yeah.
And it wasn't even anybody that I knew. But the things that she said led me to a whole other avenue of research. I'd been doing research all along, but hers led me to a new place that when I started to do it, to read about it, to practice it, and to do it, in 2 months, David was well.
2 months.
2 months. And the story was so phenomenal that I started getting asked to go places and lecture about it, and then they wanted to know, did you write down all of this stuff? And eventually, it
You
led to the
did.
book.
My goodness. So was it some disease? What was it?
It was actually a matter of learning how to cooperate with our designer, with the way that he made us and the things that we put into our bodies, both, food, lifestyle habits, etc., and cleaning ourselves up from the inside out. We helped his body to detoxify is what we helped it to do.
Really?
Okay, so you were beginning to look outside traditional medicine.
Traditional medicine had
Wasn't
no
helping.
answers for
No,
us.
right.
That's
Yeah.
right. None whatsoever.
My goodness.
So,
Wow.
so who holds the keys to our health?
You do. I do. We each do.
We
But
have
the
to be
fa-
responsible, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's a matter of education and it's a matter of choices. And the
Yes.
education is especially important because I found when I was doing my research, all of these experts disagree with each other. The one tells you eat eggs, they're the perfect protein. The next one says, oh, they're loaded with cholesterol, don't touch them,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And who do you believe? Well, God created us each as totally unique individuals. I mean, you could treat two people with the same disease, the same protocol, and one will respond and the other one will not.
That's true.
Why is that? Because God created us as unique individuals. And so what I found the reason I wrote this book was to help people to find their own answers and to do their own research, because you are all fearfully and wonderfully made, but you're also all uniquely made.
Yes,
Right.
that's true.
Right. Wow.
So does God really care what we eat?
Oh, absolutely. It's a stewardship issue. I mean, God made this body